some things that went on in the apartment, ma'am.
Writs had been signed when the actual process hadn't taken place.
The one that signed has your signature on it.
My signature.
Everything was placed outside in the parking lot.
Walden Landing versus Derek Johnson and Barbara
Moss. All right, Mr. Johnson, would you like to speak with Mr. Dara?
Would I like to speak with him?
And see if y'all can work something out?
I'll talk to him.
Okay.
I'll talk to him, but I need to talk to you as well still.
Oh, well, if you're going to talk to me still, then you don't need to talk to Mr. Dara.
Let me talk to him. Let me talk to him first, but there's some things that went on in the apartment, ma'am.
Okay, but Mr. Johnson, you heard the whole hearing and you heard me teach a whole class on dispossessory and eviction law. So think carefully about what you got going to tell me and how you think it's going to affect your case. Because if you're still in the premises and you haven't paid rent, it is most likely going to be an eviction with 7 days unless they agree to more.
Ma'am, I was already illegally evicted.
Okay. All right. Well, you can talk to Mr. Dara if you want to, but.
Go ahead, talk to him, yes, ma'am.
Sure.
All right.
I am here. We had just briefly spoke. Unfortunately, looks like we'll still need a hearing.
Of course. All right. So go ahead and make your case, Mr. Dara, on behalf of Walden Landing.
Yes, Your Honor. This one, interesting. The tenant was already writted out by way of a writ of possession.
Mm-hmm.
And but I will. So we're not seeking a writ of possession today.
Okay.
We're seeking just the balance and of rent, as well as the.
Okay. Was there personal service?
That I'm not 100% sure on. So
okay, if it was tack and mail, then I don't have the jurisdiction over the person. I can't issue a judgment. The most you can get on tack and mail is a writ.
And that is true. My argument is unless the defendant is here, and they are here.
No.
I think that's the way that I can pull that up.
No, they can. No, the difference would be if they answered. Did they answer? Because if they got tack and mail and they answered, then you would have personal jurisdiction. But if you just served them and they didn't answer and they're here because they got noticed by tack and mail, there's still no conference of jurisdiction over the person. It just would be a writ of possession.
So I think that's part of an issue here. So we weren't served a copy of an answer. There was nothing in that we had been given that there was an answer. A judge signed off on a writ of possession, and that's all we knew about until the
because if they didn't answer within 7 days, that's all a judge can do is a writ of possession. And so now, how are you suing them for a path? Because it says here you're suing them for under a dispossessory, which is separate from a civil suit for money judgments. Under a dispossessory, it's a 777 rule. Once they're served, they got 7 days to answer. If they answer, then the court has personal jurisdiction over them and can issue a judgment. If they don't answer, then the only thing that the court can do is issue a writ for possession. You're saying possession is not an issue here, but if they haven't been personally served, whether they come or not, because they could be here because they saw the tack and mail. But if they didn't answer and submit themselves to the court, jurisdiction would not allow me to give a money judgment.
So I'm looking at I only see that it was posted.
Okay. No money judgment can take place at this time. And they do have a counterclaim.
So our argument would be, Judge, if there's a counterclaim.
It should have been an answer, but you say you don't see an answer. Ms. Powell, show me what they did.
No, we weren't served a copy of an answer.
Okay, Ms. Powell, can you find an answer?
There is record of an answer that was filed on June 17th.
Can you print it for me?
After the proceedings.
It was what?
Filed on June 17th, which was a month after the proceedings were initiated. I see that on June 10th, on June 10th, they were served by, notice was hung on the door, or service was hung on the door, and within 7 days, they filed the answer.
Okay. So they did answer. So you do have personal jurisdiction, but they also have a counterclaim.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right. So tell us what you're seeking.
Yes, Judge, if I can call China Jones, if Ms. Jones is present.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm just going to share my screen to pull up the ledger. I am pulling up a copy of the ledger. Ms. Jones, I scrolled down. The ledger appeared started from the very beginning back in 2023. Wanted to bring your attention to March of 2024. It's on the screen. Rental income. So what payments did you receive from the residents in March of 2024?
We received a payment of $1614, March 13th.
Okay. And going into April of 2024, what payments did you receive for the month of April?
None.
All right. And since April through to August 19th of 2024, what payments did you receive from the residents?
None.
All right. What is the total balance due on the account through to August 19th of 2024?
$7,219.
All right. And that balance comprises late fees, utilities?
Yes, let me see. I do know in April we gave a concession of $200 for the inconvenience of the flood or whatever.
And that would be my next question, but
okay.
Answering the question is that balance comprises the late fee that we had discussed while going over the lease, as well as any possible utilities or whatnot. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And again, just for the court's record, that total balance again is?
I have an objection.
Hold on, sir. Go ahead. Give me the balance.
Ms. Jones, again, the total balance?
$7,219.50.
Okay. What's your objection, Mr. Johnson?
They that $200 concession they offered me, I refused that. It was $300 they offered me, and it was Amber Davis who offered it to me. I have an email I sent you all. This is evidence. The email is hold on.
Okay, so they offered you.
That's not accurate. They offered me $200.
No, they offered you $200 off the rent, and for the flood, and they also waived the $100 late fee. I saw it.
Yeah, I refused that though. If you look at my email to Amber Davis, Exhibit H.
Okay,
Exhibit H.
Sir,
you see, she offered me I'm sorry.
When it's your turn to testify, I'll take into account that you refused the $300.
Go ahead, yes, ma'am.
The residents are no longer in possession of the unit. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, at this point, that concludes our side. Reserve the ability to redirect if necessary.
No problem. All right, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tell me, did you have any questions of the Ms. Jones?
I have questions for Ms. Jones. I sure do.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Ms. Jones, did you work March 29th, 2024? Were you working?
Yes. Yes.
Are you aware of the flood that happened in my apartment?
Yes.
Are you aware that I tried to call you all for about 6 hours straight while the water ran?
That I'm not sure.
Nobody was in the office. You weren't in the office?
It depends on what time. We do have breaks that we take throughout the office.
Right.
So
well, I called in between the hours of 2 and 5 o'clock. I called like every 30 seconds.
Did you ever call our emergency lines as well?
Well, I was at work, so I couldn't. My mom probably did. She's on Zoom as well. We both tried to call. No one answered the phone during that time. Amber told me she went into the apartment and was met by water, so she closed the door without checking on my mom. So you're not aware of that. Did you work July 13th? That was a Saturday. Did you work July 13th?
check. I'm not sure about that Saturday. Let's see. Yes, I was here actually.
Well, I have Exhibit P. P is in Paul. If you could take a look at Exhibit P, you stuck Exhibit P on my door on July
Your Honor,
13th on the
this question's
Saturday.
on cross-examination. I think
Hey,
Mr.
Mr. Johnson, what's the question?
Well, I'm asking her, why did she put somebody else's name on something addressed to my address? She had somebody else's name on Exhibit P, and this is a notice to pay rent as well. So what notice of rent, pay rent are we talking about? You got a name named Laura Parham or something like that. That's the name that you put on the notice to pay rent.
It may
And
have
it has
been
your
an
name at the
error.
bottom. Has your name at the bottom of it.
It may have been
Mr. Johnson,
Yes, ma'am.
can she answer your question before you jump on her with another question?
I'm sorry.
Are you here to get an answer, or are you just trying to testify? Because if you just want to testify,
I want to get an answer. I want to get an answer.
Obviously you don't, because you're not listening to anything she says. All
I
right,
was just about to say my apologies. They could have been done in error, not intentionally though.
Okay.
How about are you aware? Did you work July 31st of this year? Were you at work?
Most likely, yes, because it was the 31st Wednesday.
Are you aware that Unit 418 was rented out to someone else prior to July 31st? While me and Ms. Dumas was still in the unit? Are you aware of that?
No, because we don't rent out units to. No.
Yeah, y'all did. Y'all had my unit listed as empty. Y'all had 418 listed as empty. Maintenance man came in that afternoon about 4:30.
Your Honor, I was on mute. I'm going to object to asked and answered on this one.
Yeah, she said she didn't know anything about it, Mr. Johnson.
Okay. But can I tell you what happened? Why I got this counterclaim? Can I tell you my whole story?
Okay. Did you have any more questions for Ms. Jones? It'd probably be better if you just tell me your story, because you testify while you're asking questions. So go ahead and tell me what's going on, Mr. Jones.
On March 29th of 2024, I'm at work. I do deliveries. I'm a delivery service partner for Amazon and Courier Express. So I work the Rome, Georgia, Chattanooga, Tennessee area. I got a phone call from my mother about 2:00 in the afternoon, Ms. Dumas, explaining to me that the carpet is wet and she don't know where the water's coming from. So I called the office. I called them nonstop for hours. Did not get an answer. So I left my post at work, drove back to Atlanta. I get back in Atlanta, I guess around almost 6 o'clock. And I talked to Amber Davis in the office, and I let her know I was trying to call all day. There's water in my unit. She said she's aware of the water in my unit. A contractor broke something outside, broke a spigot outside of my unit, and didn't tell anyone that he broke it, and went for lunch or went away for the day or something like that. I came home. Water was inches high. And that's kind of hard for water to be inches high when you have carpet and stuff like that. But water was inches high, and it met you at the door, meaning water had traveled more than 20, 25 feet through the apartment to get to the front door.
And Judge, I just object to that as speculation.
I have pictures.
Okay.
I have exhibits.
Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
It's true.
Go ahead, Ms. Dumas. You'll have an opportunity, ma'am, but it's not like church where you get to amen the preacher.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. So water was inches high. I immediately went in and checked on my mom because she couldn't walk around. She's in a wheelchair, electric wheelchair, so she can't move around. Plus, we have an oxygen tank that's in the house. So my main worry I had was water getting into the electricity and causing a spark, and the oxygen tank blowing up.
Yeah.
That was a big concern of mine. Well, I get there. I talked to Amber. She tells me that Genrec, whoever Genrec is is coming by and going to do stuff with the apartment. So when they get there, it's a gentleman who's a former maintenance man from the apartments, him and one of his buddies. They come in and they started moving the furniture around so they could pull up the carpet. While moving the furniture around, they broke everything. They dumped my stepfather's ashes. He has an urn with his ashes in it. They dumped his ashes, pretty much. They broke my mom's bed.
The urn wasn't sealed?
It was sealed, but they just turned everything over. It was on the TV stand.
Mm-hmm.
They broke the TV stand. So the urn had turned over.
Okay.
You know, everything was broke, ma'am. Everything was destroyed. So I had to get my mom to a hotel because we couldn't stay there. They pulled the carpets up, put the fans in, stayed in the hotel 4 days. After the hotel stay, I talked to the manager finally, and she tell me, go ahead and file you an insurance claim with your insurance company. We're going to work with them. We're going to work with your insurance company. So I filed the claim April the 1st.
Are you required by the lease to have renter's insurance?
I am.
Okay.
I am. I filed the insurance claim.
Mm-hmm.
About a week or so later, the insurance adjuster called me, denied my claim. I asked why she denied my claim. She said the apartment complex hired.
Judge, I'm going to loosely object to that as hearsay based on what another individual said, who's not here to testify.
Okay. Did you receive something in writing, Mr. Johnson?
I do have an exhibit. It's an exhibit.
Okay, just tell me, did you receive a letter from the insurance company that was a denial?
I did. Exhibit H.
Do you have that?
Exhibit H.
Okay,
can you share it on the screen?
Yeah. Or can you tell me what it says?
It says.
What insurance company is it from?
Fortegra. And he has a copy as well.
Fortegra?
Judge, I wasn't served with a copy. I could pull it up on research, but I have to pay for it.
It's Fortegra. And it states that.
Well, read it for me. Tell me what it says. Don't just tell me what you think it says.
Well, let me find it, ma'am. Because when they evicted us, a lot of my stuff got thrown away.
Okay.
Also, so that's why I'm scrambling. But I got it. But long story short, they denied it, saying, well, they denied it, just saying they couldn't honor it. They just said they couldn't honor it. And talking to her personally, you know, it goes down to the
talking to who? Talking to who personally?
I'm not gonna say what she said, but I'm gonna tell you what it boils down to.
No, Mr. Johnson, I'm trying to figure out what you're saying because you're trying to get around hearsay, but you can't. So you're saying that you got a denial from the insurance company.
I did.
Okay, now tell me what else happened.
I sent everything to Amber Davis, and she said she doesn't know why they denied it, but she'll give me $300 off. Okay. And I told her $300 doesn't even touch one day's salary with me.
What were you asking for?
I asked her to pay for all damages.
Okay, well, when you say all damages, what number did you give her?
$5,404.57. The price of my beds, television stand, a pair of my Nike Vapor Max, 4 days off from work, clothing for me, clothing for my mom, antique wooden chest from the Virgin Islands that got destroyed, cleaning supplies to clean up after everything, and coin laundry.
Okay. Did that also include the hotel stay?
It did.
Okay, so that was the $5,404.57.
It didn't include the hotel. Excuse me. It didn't include the hotel.
How much was the hotel?
The hotel was $168 a day. So 4 days.
Okay. All right. And so you said that you weren't able to get that covered by insurance.
None
Correct?
of it.
Okay.
Correct.
And you said that the credit that you were offered after the flood was $300.
Correct.
And you said that you denied that credit, but but it appears to me that they may have applied it anyway.
Well, they applied 200 of it. So they went back on extra 100
So
that they.
What I saw was a credit for 200 and then a fee, a late fee waiver of $100.
Okay.
Did you see that on the ledger? Do we need to go back?
I did. I saw the 100.
Okay. All right. So,
okay.
All right. So now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Also, when they came into the apartment to get the rugs up, they put a hole in the wall because they had to repair the spigot from the outside.
Okay.
That's exhibit B.
Did they ever repair the hole in the wall?
August 2nd.
So they've repaired it, but it wasn't until August 2nd.
Wasn't until August 2nd. After, well, I go into explain. So we go back and forth about the rent and the money or whatever. So I told them I'll go to court with them.
Let me ask you this. At the point that you had all this happen, did you stop paying the rent?
I did.
Okay. And when you stopped paying the rent, did you attempt to move out of the property?
No, I actually planned to stay there. I wanted to go to court and get it over with and get back to living out there because my mom was comfortable out there.
But did you understand what I explained when I explained in the previous hearing? You got three options. You can wait, you can give them notice and they fix it, but you're still paying the rent because you're in the property. You can bring somebody in to fix it for you, or you can fix it yourself and you can pay those things and get an offset on the rent, but you're still paying the rent because you're in the property. Or you can claim that the property is uninhabitable because you can't comfortably live there, and you can leave and claim constructive eviction. So it looks like you stayed in the property but didn't pay the rent.
That's correct.
And we learned earlier that that's not proper under Georgia law.
Right, but also under my lease provisions, I can't do any alterations or do anything to the apartment as far as fixing anything. That's in my lease.
Okay.
That's in the lease, ma'am.
Okay.
So I can't fix things.
Okay.
So I found my answer.
Uh-huh.
I found my answer. You know, the sheriff came by. I found my answer. In the middle of finding my answer, I'm keeping track of what's going on online with the court case.
Okay.
So I see there's a writ of possession application that's been applied for on July 12th.
Okay.
And I was questioning that for months, wondering why, how can a writ be issued and I haven't went to court yet? So then July 13th, I get something else posted to my door with another person's name on it for a notice to pay rent.
Okay.
The name on it is Laura Parham.
Okay.
I don't know who that is or whatever, but it was on my door too.
So are you saying that you never received anything in your name or your mother's name requesting that the rent be paid?
I did receive it. I did receive it, but I received two. I received one in my name and I received one in somebody else's name.
Okay, so let's assume that you know that you're not the other person. Let's focus on the one that you received in your name.
Right. So I took the appropriate steps. I filed my answer.
Okay.
And waiting on court to come. And then July 31st, about 4:30 p.m., maintenance men coming to my apartment saying they getting the apartment ready for the next tenant. And I said, well, my mom, she's there now. She can tell you more about that.
All right. Mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead and tell me what happened.
I was flabbergasted because I didn't know anything about that. And I'm, wheelchair bound with oxygen. And, what could I do?
Okay, let me ask you this.
Look, when they came, when the medical man
hold
came
on, Mr. Johnson.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm
Breathe,
sorry. I'm so
please.
sorry.
I've
I'm
been
so
doing this
sorry.
for a long time, so there's certain questions I have to ask you in order to figure out what I need to figure out. The first
Yes,
thing
ma'am.
is, did they have a provision in your lease that says they have to give you a certain amount of notice prior to coming into the apartment?
I don't think they have a provision, but we got certain circumstances going on with my mom. Just like, she has oxygen, and I've been asking them since we moved there to put something at the door saying oxygen is in use, and they never did it as well.
You couldn't print up a sign and put it on the door that says oxygen is in use?
I mean, I probably could have, but it says in their lease that they do that.
Okay, but if they didn't do it, Mr. Johnson, and it's important to give people notice that your mom is on oxygen, why didn't you just put up a sign?
You're absolutely right, ma'am. I just questioned them about it.
It just drives me crazy that people just think that, that the stuff that is going to get done when the landlord fails to do it, but it's essential, y'all don't do it. It was like, well, we just stayed there with wet floors and breathing in wet air because the landlord didn't fix it. At some point, you got to take responsibility for yourself. I mean, once you get to court, it'll all shake out. But if your mom has certain needs that they can't just have somebody coming in and out of the place, you can put a sign on your door. Why wouldn't you do that?
Well, they knew her condition. They knew that coming in.
I get that, but if they hire a vendor, they're not necessarily going to remember to tell that vendor, hey, if you go to this place, there's a lady who's in a wheelchair on oxygen. Now, but let's get back to it. So on 7/31, they came into the apartment at 4 p.m.
Not the vendor, maintenance men. They work for the apartment.
Okay.
They work for the apartment, so they understand, know her situation. They've had dealings with her before, with my mom before, so they know who she is. But they came into the apartment saying they getting the apartment ready for the next tenant. I called the office and talked to Yolanda, the manager. Yolanda looked in the system and told me, "Yeah, excuse me, Mr. Johnson, we did rent your apartment out to somebody else. Let me go into the system and fix that. Don't worry about that. Let me go into the system and fix that. I got it covered.
Okay.
That same night, ma'am, a lady came and knocked on my mom's door. I was school shopping with my kids because, it was back to school. My mom was home alone. Somebody knocked about 7:30. She called me, asked me, was I expecting anyone? I told her no. She said, was somebody knocking? I was like, well, don't nobody have no right to come in. If anybody come in through that door, Mom, you blast them. Told her just like that. About an hour and a half later, my mom's cell phone rings. I pick it up. It's an Officer Cody Cornell with the Clayton County Police Department on my mom's phone. So by this time, I'm going berserk asking what's going on. He said, there's been a mistake. He tells me some woman comes to my house with a locksmith, cuts off my locks on my door while my mom is at home on the phone with 911. I have the 911 audio. I started to submit it in the evidence. I can email it to you right now if you want to hear it. But came into the apartment saying that she rented the apartment and had the locks cut off. Come to find out.
Okay, hold on.
Damn.
This was somebody from the landlord?
I don't know where they came from.
Because somebody who's leasing the apartment wouldn't have the right to cut off the locks. They would have to get a key from the
office was closed. It was closed. It was after closing hours. On the same day she told me she rented out my apartment.
Okay, but even still, they usually wouldn't have somebody come with a locksmith after closing hours. That wouldn't make any sense.
You gotta talk to my mom. She's right there. That happened while she was there, and I got a police report including the evidence too. The police report, it's in there.
Right. So they come and they attempt to cut off the locks. What
No,
happened after that?
They cut the locks off.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mom.
They did cut the locks, and I was frightened to death because
Okay.
I'm in there alone, and
Right.
somebody drilling and drilling the locks off my door. And I look through the peephole, and I see three people. I see one white man, and a tall black man, and a black young lady. And I didn't know what to do, so I called 911 and reported a home invasion.
Okay.
And the operator was really nice. She told me to go somewhere and hide in the house. I had a pistol, but I didn't want to shoot anybody. But
Okay.
I was told later that I should have. But yeah.
Probably good that you didn't listen to that, ma'am. Okay, so after the police came, what happened?
They caught the people because they came in the house. They got the lock off and walked into the house. And I was in my room in the back trying to hide. And I kept telling the operator that I was afraid, I was scared, and that I was on oxygen. And I was, my breathing was labored because of the excitement and the tension.
Okay.
My breathing was labored. And they wanted to take me to the hospital, but the hospitals can't treat panic like I was dealing with unless they gave me medication, and I'm on enough medication.
Okay.
But they sat there. They found the people outside when they pulled up, and they questioned them. And I think my other son came until Derek could get there. Then Derek came, and they were outside.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, did you become aware at any point of who it was, or if it was somebody who was just breaking into the house?
I'm trying to get warrants on them as we speak. But yes,
okay. No, sir. Did you become aware of who it was? Was it somebody from the property management, or was it somebody who had no
dealings whatsoever? I don't know him from a can of paint.
Okay. So it was not property management that was trying to break into the house?
No.
Okay. All right.
It was somebody else. So anyway, we did the officer, when that was going on, we were trying to contact people in the office because that person was saying they rented the apartment, and the police were trying to figure out why were we in the apartment that they rented.
And Judge, I'm just going to object to what someone else.
I got you. All right, so Mr. Johnson, Miss Jones earlier alluded to there being an emergency number that you could call. Did you try calling the emergency number because you were home at that point? Huh?
Called the emergency number. We did.
Okay.
The maintenance man came over, just the maintenance man, nobody else. But he tried to call the manager. She wouldn't answer the phone. And then all of a sudden, the courtesy officer comes over, pulls up on the scene, and he changed the narrative of the whole thing. He charged them with trespassing.
Okay.
And, I know why he did that.
Okay, well, so, okay. All right, so at this point, we've resolved the fact that there was somebody trying to break in. You've talked to management and maintenance. What happens after that?
The maintenance man put the locks back on. Yolanda calls me the next day telling me she has nothing to do with what happened the night before. Is that hole still in my back wall in the unit? She could send someone to fix the back hole in my unit Friday or whatever the case may be. But it didn't happen until Monday. But she did send somebody out there then, but it, you know. And then she said, yeah, I see you got a case still pending in court with us, so we'll get that resolved and blah, blah, blah. That was that.
Okay. So at any point, did you resume paying the rent after the flood?
I did not.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yes, ma'am. So August 19th, I left to go to work. I get a phone call about 9:30 saying that the sheriff's at the house. So I like, let me talk to the sheriff. So I asked the sheriff, I said, why are you evicting me? I haven't had my day in court yet. He said, well, I got this writ. I said, what's the case number? He said 2024 CV 02775. I said, how you evicting me on that when I haven't went to court yet? He said, I don't know, you gotta take it up with the judge. I only enforce it. So here we go. I went to I did a complaint against the sheriff department. I talked to a Captain Franklin. He sent me an email of the writ. The writ he sent me has no sheriff entry service written on it at all. I have two different writs. I have one that's written on, I have one that's not. The one that's not written on is the one that I was evicted on. Probably. I don't know. But I was evicted and I lost everything. I lost a watch collection, lost all my televisions because your sheriffs have a black Chrysler 300 riding behind them, scooping up everything as they evict people. And my mom out there by herself, they took everything. They took everything. Everything I replaced from the flood was taken, basically. TVs. That wasn't in the flood. They were up high, but they were taken too. All my TVs were taken. All of them. I got the remotes, but I have no TVs. And other stuff. There's a lot of other stuff missing that I can't put my hands on because, just had so many things. My mom had her things. Everything was placed outside in the parking lot.
Okay.
For everybody.
Did you ever get a notice from the sheriff's office on your door or handed to you personally about the eviction? Like
Never.
I know you got the notice to quit the property, but did you get something from the court, the magistrate court of Clayton County?
Never. Never. It's not even in your filings. With your case filings. Never got it. Never.
Okay.
Never.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Johnson?
I guess that's let me see. Go over my notes. So the people at the apartment complex had Genrec. Since they're not the actual company, the property hired them. So that's an employee-employer relationship.
I'm not certain what the relevance.
Oh, the relevant.
So hired them to do what? I'm sorry.
Hired them to pressure wash the building. He was out there to pressure wash the building. Just my building no longer. My building had mold on the outside of it. So at first they thought it was dirt. So they were going to pressure wash it. So he was out there trying to pressure wash it, and he broke a spigot while it was on. And the spigot that was on was running in my house.
Okay,
it connected to my wall.
I didn't see them claiming that that somebody connected to the company wasn't the cause of what happened. Okay, so
I inquired about getting the company's information, and she wouldn't give me the company's information. Nobody knew the company's information, so I looked them up on the Secretary of State's website, and
Okay,
they're not there.
So there's two things going on here, Mr. Johnson. So the first thing is the flood and I guess whatever might have happened related to the flood, the things that you lost as a part of the flood, and the fact that I don't know, did you file an appeal with your insurance company as to why they didn't?
They dropped me soon after, ma'am.
They dropped you?
Soon after. Filing a fraudulent claim. They dropped me because they told me the apartment complex knew good and well, since they hired them people, the way they hired them, they're responsible. They're not responsible for them hiring somebody who's not a licensed contractor.
Judge,
So I don't have that.
All right, Mr. Dara, the issue I have though is if he is required to have rental insurance as a part of the lease and somebody from the apartment complex tells the insurance company that his claim is false, then how can he recover for something that he's required to have?
I think that would, that's a good question, Your Honor. I think that if Mr. Johnson was able to have somebody here to testify from the insurance company or have a document showing what the things that he's saying, we'd be better able to flesh that out. As it stands, we don't know the reason for a denial.
And we're okay with this.
At least that's not in evidence. Not necessarily, Judge.
Ms. Jones, do you have any idea why the insurance company would have denied his claim? Did you say anything to them?
Honestly, no. I was not the person who may have spoke with them.
Who was the person who may have spoken with them?
Honestly, I don't know. I wasn't aware of anyone speaking with them, so I'm not sure.
It was Amber Davis.
Okay, and then the second thing that's going on is they may not be ultimately responsible for the eviction. And the reason is there were some issues with magistrate court where writs had been signed when the actual process hadn't taken place. So I'm aware of it because I got an email about it. Like, hey, if you get some cases, make sure you check to make sure all the I's have been dotted and crossed, because some writs have been signed and some people have had evictions that they hadn't gotten to yet. So I get that, and you may be one of those people. I'm having people here look that up, and if so, then your recourse is with magistrate court, not us, because and maybe not the company. If they file an eviction, there's a process that goes on with the courts, and only a judge can okay a writ of possession. If a judge okayed a writ of possession that shouldn't have been okayed, then that's not their fault. That's the magistrate court's fault. So when they came to evict you, did they give you any documents like a writ of possession that would have been signed by a judge?
No, but I have two. Like I said, I have two different writs. One of them is not signed, and it has the sheriff's entry on it. The other one is signed with no sheriff's entry on it. The one that's signed has your signature on it.
My signature? Oh, wow. This just gets worse and worse. Yeah, that looks like my signature.
Right. It has your signature.
So there was a sheriff's entry of service on one, and then Ms. Powell?
I have two. Sheriff's entry services. And I talked to Captain Franklin already up in the sheriff's department. He the one that sent me the one with your signature on it.
Okay.
He sent me that one.
What date?
The one that I got. It was October 7th, he sent me that. But this has July 12th on it.
Is the date I signed it?
July 12th.
And you never got anything tacked on your door?
Not at all, ma'am. Not at all. Only thing I got tacked on my door, the one from China saying Law Parham, a different lady's name. Somebody who doesn't even live here, live at the address.
What's the case number on the one that you say I signed?
Same case number. 2024 CB 02775.
Okay. Ms. Powell?
Yes, ma'am. I'm looking at this now.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Yes, ma'am. And I can send you that email if you want it.
What's the email from?
It's from Captain Franklin, where he sent me the writ.
Okay, hold off on that for a second.
Okay. And I found the insurance paper too, the letter from the insurance company.
All right, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. I found the insurance paper too, the letter from the insurance company.
Okay, can you read it to me?
It says, in reviewing your claim, the physical damage to your personal property was not caused by a peril insured against your policy. Since the damage was not caused by a peril insured against, there is no coverage for the damage to your items. For your reference, we have listed the perils insured against below. And they have a whole list of what they cover. Number 12 says accidental discharge or overflow of water or steam. It says that. It says water. But the reason why they didn't honor it is because of who did it and his position while he was doing it.
Okay. All right. So let me I've looked this up, and I think what happened was there was a mistake, and it was probably a mistake on my part because, like you said, you had one writ with a service, one writ without a service. And so let me just
I was trying to get in touch with you to have it switched, but I couldn't get in touch with you. But go ahead.
Okay.
Get it
From
fixed.
a legal standpoint, for not paying the rent, you haven't presented an argument or defense to stop possession, but that's separate from your counterclaim. Yes, because ma'am. The counterclaim is separate. There's the damage to your property was caused by either the Walden Landings or an agent working for Walden Landings.
Correct.
So I haven't heard any objection to that. Now, the fact that your insurance did or did not cover the claim, it seemed that they should have, because one of the perils that they list should be what seems to be a discharge of water or steam, and that's what happened in this case. But what I need to hear from you is, like you said, you gave me a $5,404.57 for broken items and a 4-day hotel stay. Did you have pictures or anything of the damage that you had due to the release of water?
I sent you probably about 20 exhibits.
Okay, when you say you sent them to me, did you file them?
To the clerk. I filed them with the clerk. Because
I have the paper exhibits, but I don't see pictures.
Oh yeah, I gave you definitely pictures.
Do you have pictures?
I even brought some on the 22nd also, some more pictures.
Okay.
On the 22nd of this month. But I have pictures. Here's the broken bed. That's what they did when they broke the bed.
Okay, hold on. Slow down now. Slow down.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna pin this so that everyone can see. Remove all pin videos. Okay, yeah. All right. So whose bed was that?
My mom's.
Okay. And do you know the amount of that bed when you bought it?
That receipt is in here. Here's the receipt.
All right. And how much
did
you? Hold on, slow down. You moving it. I got to figure out.
I'm having a hard time with the authentication of this and where it was purchased, when it was purchased.
I haven't asked those questions yet, Mr. Dar. If you want to ask them, you can.
I was just objecting to the introduction of these things, but I'll let Your Honor move forward.
All right. So, Mr. Johnson, so how long have you and your mom been? New York? Your mom has a New York accent, I think.
We're all from New York. I've been here since 1996.
Okay, so and you've been living in this property since when?
2023. My mom had some health issues. She was perfectly healthy a couple of years ago, and
Okay, I get that.
So
So when you,
issues, and she had to move down here with me.
I got you. So when you moved into Walden Landings, did you purchase that bed new, or did you had you purchased it since you moved or before you moved?
Before I moved.
Okay. And what size bed was it?
A queen.
Okay. All right. All right. Show me some more pictures.
Okay. That's the hole in the wall that they just fixed August 2nd. That was in the bedroom, leading to the outside.
Okay. Did they finally fix it?
August 2nd.
Okay. Whose room was that?
My mom's.
Was she able to stay in that room?
Not really. Not really, no, ma'am.
Okay.
That's some of the rug that was wet. That's some of the carpet that was wet. You see how dark it is. That's water.
Okay. All right. Show me something else.
That's my mom's closet. You see all the water in there in the closet?
Yes.
Okay. That's leading in the hallway. There's more water in the hallway on the carpet.
Okay.
That's the TV stand they broke. This picture and this picture are the TV stand they broke.
Okay, so they broke it trying to move the stuff out of the property?
Right. Trying to move it out to try to move it out the way so they can pull the carpet up.
How much did you pay for the TV stand?
Let me see.
Do you know where you got it?
Yeah, from Wayfair. It was $6.99.
Okay. $699?
It was, yes, ma'am. Got plenty more. Hold
on.
Okay. This picture right here, that hole in the wall in the closet that I showed you. Mm-hmm. This is the outside. This is the outside spigot that he broke that leads to that hole in the wall that the contractor broke. That what he broke outside.
All right.
And that's where the water came from. I have here's the water Amber Davis was talking about at the front door. So as you walk in the front door, that's a wooden floor.
Oh, I was going to say.
That's in black and white, but it's a wooden floor.
Okay.
So you can see how much water is on the wooden floor. That's by the front door.
Okay.
That's my mom's oxygen tank that I was speaking of, that I didn't want to blow up.
All right. Well, what did you think? Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Here's some of the carpet being pulled up. There's one man doing the carpet. So, of course, he's dragging everything across the floor to get it out, to get it off the carpet. He's dragging everything. There's one man doing the carpet. So any kind of heavy furniture, he has to drag. Here's the contractor outside the day after the flood. The flood happened on a Friday. Saturday morning, I came to the apartment to check on the apartment. This is him outside of my building, starting on something else all over again. The same guy who did the damages.
Okay.
And I showed him the inside of my apartment. He packed up and left. He didn't even do no more work. When I showed him the inside of my apartment. They say there wasn't any work orders. All the work orders have been completed. Here's a work order from last year that I did online that still hasn't been done.
Okay, does this have to do with the water?
No, ma'am. It was something completely different, but it still hasn't been done.
Okay, it says something about cats.
It's before the water, right? Cats all over the apartment complex, everywhere.
Oh, okay, but I'm not.
Patios and dogs. So, people in the apartment complex got dogs messing all over the grass, all over the sidewalks.
Okay, but I'm kind of focused on the water damage right now, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so there's.
Was there any other items of furniture that were damaged?
Clothing, shoes, and stuff like that.
Okay.
There was clothing that was there. You know how, like me, I leave a lot of clothes on the floor. You know what I mean? I just do. And a lot of that stuff I could wash, but some of my shoes I couldn't wash.
Okay.
After they pulled the carpet up, they didn't pull all the carpet up. They left the carpets in the closets.
Okay.
And I had a big gnat problem after that. As you can see, this is Zevo. I had to get Zevo. I had to keep Zevo in every room because of the gnats.
Okay.
Here's some damage to them. Here's some shavings from my door from when they cut my locks.
Okay, but that's their damage.
Right.
That's not your damage.
And that's the guy fixing the August 2nd. That's him in there fixing the hole in the wall.
Okay.
See what else I got here. Yeah, everything else I got for other purposes, I guess. Some of the stuff got thrown away,
Okay.
I'm lucky to have
Black credenza, that black credenza that was in the living room.
I already showed them that month. I showed her that. I showed her that.
All
But
right.
I was asking,
All right. And you said you were in a hotel, the two of you, for 4 days?
Right. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Came back home Tuesday because she said she had somebody who was coming out to do some work on the apartment Tuesday, and they never showed up.
Okay. All right.
I missed a lot of days from work too. I missed about 5 days from work based on this.
Okay, why 5 days? Because once you secured a place to stay, why did you miss work?
Because of my mom, she being in the hotel, she couldn't move around. She didn't have a chair. Her chair weighed 400 pounds.
Okay, where was the chair?
It was in the apartment. It was wet. It couldn't move. Had to be replaced.
So her wheelchair, her motorized wheelchair, had to be replaced?
Had to be replaced. It didn't cost us nothing, but United Healthcare, took care of it. But
right.
It was hard getting, I couldn't leave her with no way of getting around and being in a strange place, couldn't cook, couldn't do nothing for herself.
Okay, and how much do you make per day?
500 and some change. I charged them 300 because I thought they were working with me when I did the insurance claim. So I just put 300 a day. I make 500 a day.
Is that commission or is that your salary?
I own my own business, ma'am. I'm a delivery service partner.
So you do a contract.
That's what I bring home every day. I got a contract. My contract, I have 2 contracts. One contract is for a certain amount a year. The other one is for a certain amount of deliveries.
Okay, so when you do deliveries, that's what you expect to bring home every day.
500 every day.
Okay. All right, Mr. Dara, did you have any other questions for Mr. Johnson?
No specific questions for Mr. Johnson at this point. Okay.
So, Mr. Johnson, initially for the totality of the broken items, you claimed $5,404.57.
I claim 15,000. If you look on the correct, I claim 15 altogether for everything. For that, okay. And then I claim. Go ahead, though, ma'am. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just asking because I didn't hear 15,000. I heard 5,404.57. That's what I heard.
That what I put as far as my clothing, my furniture, and stuff like that. But I claim 15. I claim 15, and I claim 8,000 in legal expenses.
Who did you consult for legal expenses?
Myself. My time is valuable. My time is just as valuable. I do all this work myself.
Mine is too, sir, but you don't get to claim to be a lawyer when you ain't a lawyer.
No, but I had to pretend to be a lawyer today. And every other day I did all this work myself, man. I did everything myself.
That commercial where they said, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Those little old ladies on TV, when they say that, that's not how this works, sir.
I had to make copies, had to do research, had to research the laws on the landlord tenant, the landlord and the contractor and property owner had to look up all these laws.
I got you. You have done all of that. Let me see.
I had to read 44-7-20 3 times. I had to read 51-2-5 several times.
Well, I'm gonna say this: you probably make more money doing what you do, but if you want to go to law school, we would welcome you.
And then I got something from you all saying something about some military stuff. Like
no,
we didn't.
That means, so what it is that for people who are in the military and they may not be able to respond very quickly, like they're on temporary orders and they're out of the jurisdiction, or they're overseas temporarily or out of the, away from their space. There's a requirement that the person suing has to check a database to make sure that this person may not be entitled to more time because of their military service. So that's all that is. When I've done my calculations based on what you gave me, it comes to $8,576.57. That's the 5 days of work at $500, the $5,404.57 that you claim for the broken and damaged items, and then the 4 days in a hotel, $672.
Okay, how about the emotional distress and the insurance, having them give me the runaround for filing this insurance thing and know good and well that it wasn't, they knew I shouldn't have filed the insurance claim. They knew they were responsible, but they tried to go me for a loop.
Object to that. That's and
Mr. Darwin?
And Your Honor, I would just object to these particular numbers. There's no receipts or evidence that's been presented. There's no.
It showed a receipt and you objected to it.
For one of the receipts. That's right. But there's been no other. I objected to it for lack of authentication, not necessarily. I just don't want him to show any receipts. Just a lack of authentication as to when it was taken. I didn't see a store name. I didn't see a title. What it was for purchase.
There's a store name on it.
Hold on, Mr. Johnson.
I don't see a wage.
Mr. Darn, here's the other thing. So if there was a flood in your house right now, you could give me receipts for everything that you purchased?
No, Judge. I'm just saying that while we're just saying numbers, and if Your Honor is taking into consideration these various things, I would like the court to take any kind of depreciation based on some of these.
That's why I asked about the bed.
Yes, Your Honor.
But when you have two people living in a place where clothes, shoes, beds, there's a hole in the wall that goes to outside. He said he tried to mitigate his damages. He washed some of the things, but you can't wash shoes. Certain things, once mold sets in, you can't wash that. Things were moved around, broken, damaged because they were sending somebody in there to try and get the carpet up as quickly as they could. So I don't find these amounts really unreasonable. I understand that Mr. Johnson stopped paying his rent, which shouldn't have happened, but that doesn't mean that he's not entitled to damages for what happened when he had a flood in his home. Now, the rest of the stuff, somebody trying to break in, I'm not sure the origins of that at all. It may be that somebody screwed it up, but it would seem to me that if the apartment is going to be rented, the person would come in and view the apartment prior to just saying, you just going to give me an apartment number and I'm going to move in. I think when you're leasing, people are entitled to move in and to look at their place they're going to move in. I could be wrong. Ms. Johnson, is it y'all's custom to just say to somebody, hey, we'll put you in a 3-bedroom and that's going to be a unit 417? Or do people view apartments before you rent?
That's Ms. Jones, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Ms. Jones.
We don't lease apartments we don't put prospects on units that they're already occupied. We don't do that. Now, what we do is...
what I'm saying to you is, when somebody comes and says, Mr. Johnson, hold on. When somebody comes and says, I want to rent an apartment and I need a 3, bedroom. So do you take them to show them the available 2 bedrooms?
Yes.
And then that's what they would choose from? Or do you say, hey, I'm gonna show you a 2 bedroom, but we're gonna give you a different 2 bedroom?
It varies. Typically, we show them what they'll be moving into.
Okay.
So honestly, even with that situation, from the only thing I knew about the lady was that she had dementia or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't even know where that came from.
All right. So yeah, that doesn't concern me as much as the flooding and the fact that he's required to have insurance for his lease, but the flood wasn't occasioned by him. And then when his insurance denied him, that still doesn't mean that he wasn't damaged by the flood that came into his home.
And just some respect to see if Ms. Jones had anything to mention, because I had reserved that earlier, and just
yes, you did.
Jones and Ms. Jones, if you have anything to add to these statements that were made about the flood or items being removed.
Yeah, okay. So I was gonna ask I know you said like the bed was broken. Did you ever replace it, or was it the same bed that was?
I definitely replaced it, but you all, it got put out, so all my stuff is not intact.
Right. Well, I would say, what I can say, the day of eviction, we all were here. We did. Well, I know I'm not sure who reached out to you, but someone did reach out to you to let you know. They told you early enough to so you could get there, because we did know that your mom.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Ms. Jones, early enough is subjective. If he works in Chattanooga, then early enough may not be.
I wouldn't say enough, but we called early.
I got you.
We waited, like we said we was gonna they did a really slow eviction just because they knew that his mom was there. She stayed there the entire time of the eviction, but we also saw Mr. Johnson come to the apartment complex with his U-Haul. So I was kind of confused on how were the items, because they made sure all your items was put right there in front of the actual unit.
But Ms. Jones,
thank you, Ms. Jones. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
The point is that I'm not at that part. I'm at the part where his initial items were destroyed. I'm not at the part where he lost things due to the eviction. I'm at the part where his apartment was flooded, and then when he made a claim for his insurance, the insurance claim was denied. He didn't occasion the flood. He didn't do the work that caused the flood. There's been no documentation or any evidence that Mr. Johnson caused the damage to his items. So he's entitled to recovery for that, if nothing else. I'm not concerned past that point with respect to the counterclaim, because this is the counterclaim that he filed. So, Mr. Dar, did you have anything else at this time?
Nothing further on this, Your Honor.
All right. Did Mr. Johnson, you said you had something else?
I just wanted to say I never looked at my apartment before I rented it. They never, they said it wasn't ready. And even when I moved in, they said it still wasn't ready, but I took my mom from South Carolina all the way to Atlanta, and I needed to put her somewhere. So I had to put her in the hotel then clean the apartment, exterminate it, and do all that stuff myself before I moved in. So no, I didn't look at the apartment first.
Ms. Jones did acknowledge that they do both ways, but the fact that somebody came and tried to drill a lock and then they repaired it, I get that. But there was no actual damage to you at that time, and you need actual damages for emotional damages. So when they drilled the lock, had they come in and damaged your property in any way or hurt your mom in any way, that would be separate. You could claim those actual damages, and then those could lead to emotional damages. But without actual damages, you can't get emotional damages. That's how the law works. It's not I didn't write it.
I have another question.
Yes,
the actual damages should come in because the front gate is never open. Never locked. She got through the front gate. She got through the front gate without having to use a key card, because the gate never works.
Okay, that's separate, sir. That's a separate claim. All right. All right. So at this time, if I got my numbers straight, the balance through August of 2024 was $7,200. It's going to be about a wash, unfortunately, because they're entitled to whatever the amount was through the date that you were out of the property. So that's $7,219.50. The court is going to award you $8,576.57. So you'll get the difference on your counterclaim. Let's see, $7,219.50. Sorry.
Who pays this and when do I get it?
Hold on.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm still filing a suit, China.
You've already filed suit, sir. This is your suit.
Now, there's another one.
Okay. All right. So you're as the amount that is outstanding, the plaintiff owes you on your counterclaim $1,357.07, and that's the offset. The plaintiff is entitled to the total amount pled of $7,219.50. The court is going to award you $8,576.57 on your claim, and the difference is what the plaintiff will pay to Mr. Johnson and Ms. Dumas of $1,357.07.
How about my security deposit that I put down on this apartment?
I don't think you get your security deposit back if you're evicted, sir.
Even though I was evicted illegally?
You weren't actually evicted illegally. The process didn't go the way it should have, but you didn't have a defense for not paying the rent.
But I wasn't supposed to be evicted until maybe a week after today.
I got you, sir.
Right. So that's the big thing.
So you'll get $1,357.07.
Okay, who pays me that? Walden Landon? When y'all paying Walden Landon? What my money?
Miss Powell will do the judgment order in this, and we'll make sure that both sides get the order. Okay.
And Your Honor, in the order, can we indicate that Walden Landing is not responsible for the set out or the eviction?
Oh, definitely. I will definitely indicate that. Please, Ms. Powell, please put a note.
He worried about that eviction, but boy, I got you on that.
Well, I mean, in fairness, they're not responsible for it. We messed up. And it was because one of the documents said that you had been served in the service document, and then one of them said you had not been. And so somewhere in the process was an issue with the certifying the sheriff's entry and whether there was an answer due or not. And so I'm going to take that one. That was on us. So Walden Landon is not responsible for the set out.
But they're responsible for that gate being open and that woman being able to come into that gate with that locksmith and everything. They're responsible for that.
That's very different. I don't have, that's not something that I'm going to, sir, I'm not going to litigate that. So that's separate. So if you want to file suit about that, that's
I'm definitely filing suit. That's what I'm trying to tell the lawyer earlier. That's why me and him may need to talk.
All right, that's fine. That's fine, sir. But judgment, okay. Listen, judgment for Walden Landing for their judgment claim, and judgment for Mr. Johnson and Ms. Dumas on their counterclaim, which led to an offset. And we'll prepare the order and we'll make sure everybody gets it. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank y'all, everybody, for your patience. This took a little longer than I thought, but I had to hear it to understand where the issues were. And I appreciate you all for your patience. All right. So individuals who are here for the 1 o'clock calendar, thank you for your patience. But video court allows you to do some other things while you're waiting to be heard. Now we'll call the 1 p.m. calendar. Everybody else is, if you have had your case heard already, you're free to go at this time. All right. So Imalede Carrillo Tua versus Reginald Denoris Kemp.
Yes, Your Honor. Leonard Felgen on behalf of Imalede Carrillo Tua.